Hello everybody, welcome to my 13th advanced Excel tutorial, and this tutorial is going to show you how to use array formulas. Array formulas are quite tricky to use. They are quite useful in a lot of situations though. So the concept of an array formula is, rather than doing calculations one cell at a time, it can do calculations based off of a series of cells. Or an array of cells. So any of you that have done computing will know what an array is anyway. But as a brief explanation, an array is just a grid of information stored in a computer. So these five here are an array, and they're a 1 by 5 array. So the array goes one dimension across, 5 dimensions five down in another dimension. So this would be a two-dimensional array, and then if you go into computing, you can have, or mathematics, you can have many dimensions within your array. But for Excel, you generally stick with just two-dimensional arrays, and you have a special formula for working with arrays, and that is array formulas. And they can be used to do quite a few different things. I'm going to show you some of the basics, and then one of the main reasons I use them, which is for summing or counting data when you've got multiple criteria. So COUNTIF and SUMIF you can only use one criteria for. The array formulas allow you to put multiple criteria in. So let's get started. So I've got my array here, and just an example of how to do an array formula. You'll start typing the formula as normal. Let's say we want to find out the length of each of these. So I'm going to want it to be filled in down all of these five. So I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to put equals length, then my text, and I want my text to be the entire array because we're working with an array. So let's just highlight that and then close that off. And then the important thing to remember is you can't just press enter, because that's just going to treat it as a normal formula. You need to go into the cell and press Control Shift and enter. And then you'll notice now that it's included the array formula on all five of these, and it's working out the length for each one of them and putting them across to the right. Now this, you might be thinking, not very useful, why don't I just drag the formula down? Well, that's where the next step of array formulas comes in, because you're able to then use this information as an array, and you don't actually have to put it onto a worksheet. You can work with it straight away. So let's say we click in here and go sum, open bracket, close bracket, and then Control Shift and enter. And you don't want it in all the cells now, we can have it in just the below one. So let's actually get rid of that. Let's get rid of the whole thing because it's already set up as array now. So equals sum of the length of our entire array, close bracket, Control Shift and enter, and then it's just going to put it in the one cell, and it will give us the sum of the length of each one of the values within this array. So now you can see why that's quite useful, because normally you'd have to do it one at a time, so your formula would get quite lengthy. So you'd have equals length of that plus length of that, and so on. And you'd have five of them, and it would be huge. Or you'd have formulas in 6 cells. So you go, okay, let's have a formula there, drag them down, sum them up, and then you've got your total there. But then obviously you've got to have 6 different cells taken up. So this can save a lot of space, and sometimes it can save on calculation times. But a lot of the time they'll make your calculation times quite slower, and you're better off just using normal formulas or some other form of calculation technique such as pivot table. But they can be useful in quite a lot of situations. So that's it for the introduction to array formulas. In the next tutorial I'm going to show you how to sum up and count the amount of items when you've got more than one criteria. So thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you in the next tutorial.